Hey guys, and welcome back to Free Plugin Friday, where we look at some free plugins that will help you with your productions. Now, today we are back on the Analog Obsession train because he is making some great plugins now based off great hardware, and this time it's Fetish, which, looking at it, it's basically an 1176 with some cool extra features. So let's just dive right in. I've got a track here from my band, The Last Dandelion. Check links below if you want to go have a listen to that. This track isn't out yet, but it might be out in the next few weeks. But it's got Here right next to you. And we're going to test out Fetish on it. Now, I use a lot of Slate plugins, so often I'm using the 1176 in the Slate bundle. But we're going to be using this instead of the compressors I'm using. Now, this particular track, I haven't used a lot of 1176s, but we're going to try it on kind of everything. We're going to try it on a few little tricks that might not go into this kind of mix, but you can really kind of get a feel for the plugin. So quickly, before we do any sound, let's just have a look at the features. If you've used an 1176 before, you'll recognize some of them, and there's a few extra features as well. So you've got input and output, and this is how you set your compression. If you want more compression, turn the input up and the output down. If you want less compression, input down, output up. Obviously, ratio makes a difference too, but this is really, instead of a threshold control, you're using input and output. And on 1176, that also does change a little bit of how the saturation is because of the kind of circuit. It saturates a little bit, especially the blue ones. Then you have attack and release. Now this has actually markers here, markers text here, so you can see what it's doing. It's slow to the left, fast to the right. Kind of the opposite of your digital kind of plugins. That's just the beast, but anyone that's used one knows how it is. Then you've got 4 ratios. And the cool thing, or maybe the confusing thing, but the cool thing with 1176s, and we're going to see this plugin does it too, is the threshold and the knee changes slightly as you go up the ratio to maintain the same amount of gain reduction. So you're hearing actually how it responds rather than your digital compressor where turn up ratio and the gain reduction, obviously it goes up because you're compressing by more. Instead, this affects multiple things. So some people find that confusing. Some people don't like that. I actually like it because you can really hear the flavor and you don't have to change too many parameters. You just really have to set up how much gain reduction you want and then choose a ratio. So let's look at the features a normal 1176 doesn't have. Then we're going to dive into starting on drums using this thing. So you have slam, which is the all buttons in mode, which I guess all of them have, but the ratio control on an actual 1176 is on buttons. And if you smash them all in together, you get this weird distorted reverse pumpy thing. That's what slam is. You have a dry wet mix control, which we are going to use for a specific task, which is really cool. And you have a sidechain. Now, I know a few modern ones, can't remember on some of the vintage ones if there's actually accessible sidechain, but usually it doesn't have an EQ. It's just like you can plug your own EQ and stuff in. That's really cool. I think especially the high pass filter is going to be a good one, but also these EQ controls, which I think it's got mid boost and kind of the high end. And you can use an external sidechain as well. But these are in a lot of Analog Obsession compressor plugins, and it's really cool because you can kind of do these weird things that you can't do on the original hardware without inserting your own sidechain. So that's basically it. You've got oversample. We'll leave oversample on. I think generally I run at 48 kilohertz, so oversampling is just going to be better. You're not going to get aliasing. You might not be able to hear the difference unless you're going into heavy distortion though, but we should be fine to keep it on. I'm not going to do too many instances, but if you're using this on every single track in an entire mix, then you may need to turn it off to save CPU power. Okay, so my favorite things to put 1176s on are drums, bass, and vocals in tandem with another compressor. Anything that needs a bit of aggression and a bit of a fast attack, fast release kind of thing. So what we're going to do, we're going to put it on the drum bus first. Now I have compressed individual tracks on the drums. So there is already compression going on, but we're going to go look at the features and have a listen to the overall sound with this. But what I've also done is grouped the kick and snare to buses. So then I'm going to turn off the compression that I've got on each channel and have them on buses and just have a look there. Now, of course, I could go through the kick in, the kick out, the extra sample, all of that and try it. But that's like a 4-hour video and you're not going to hear anything. So let's just listen to this section. It is looped and let's try the plugin. Turn it on. Now set the attack and release kind of the way I would. So it's already sounding a bit like how I expect an 1176 to sound, but it is distorting a lot. Let's see how that goes. Let's mess with the attack and release. We'll keep it on at 4-1 at the moment, just to see how it's kind of reacting. So let's do the attack first. Leave the release fast, I guess. Maybe we'll set the release about here, so we're not getting as much of that distortion. And that's really grabbing those peaks. I might just turn it down a little bit so it's not as aggressive. The attack isn't doing as much. We'll see on the individual tracks. It's not as, I don't know, it's a bit still really fast on slow. I know it's always really fast, but usually I can hear a bit of a difference. That might be because the release characteristics is kind of overtaking. So we're going to go back to slow and have a look at the release. So slow release. This is kind of more akin to most compressors you're using. If you look at the gain reduction meter, it's kind of coming up. As we turn it up, it's getting faster and pumpier until it starts kind of distorting. And that's so fast, you really need to turn it up to get. Okay, let's keep this kind of really crushed thing. Of course, this is not a sound you'd use, but we just kind of hear the behavior, and let's go through the ratios. Maybe a little less compression. We'll go back to them again. That input control seems to work more like a threshold though, interestingly. There's definitely a difference in the ratios. It definitely, I'm just going to pause it to talk. It's definitely compressing more on the 20, which is what you expect, of course. You can see it going down a little bit. The way it's releasing seems to be a little different on the different ratios. I don't know if that is more of a knee thing. It seems to, I think because of the threshold, those cymbals aren't triggering it as much on the lower ratios, possibly. Just listen to the cymbals and how it comes back up. cymbals are way more washy and kind of pumpy on the 20-1, which is kind of what you would expect, right? Okay, so like I said, way too much compression, but we're kind of hearing the character and what it's kind of doing. We'll quickly have a look at this before giving some, I guess, more real-world uses. And I do want to try the parallel blend and the slam because I love that kind of thing on drums. Okay, so high-pass filter is really going to clean up what that kick's doing, that kick pumping. So you can hear now the snare is what's triggering it. So maybe we try and get the snare to trigger it less. Or maybe turn down the high frequencies. So now the high frequencies are triggering it more, I'm guessing. This reminds me of the little screw you have in the LA2A style plugins for the sidechain. Let's rack it up to here. Change that attack. Okay, let's try slam. Unless this was yeah, I'm a bit confused. Okay, so let's see what the slam button does. Now, I think it's meant to be the all buttons in mode, but so far, I'm not sure if, like, I'm assuming this is off and that's on, but power's the other way. It's a bit confusing. Stock, like, when I put up default, it was in the up position. So let's just see what the two differences are. We'll stay at 12-1 maybe. So needs to let the kick through more, but distorts a little bit more maybe within the down position. Doesn't really, yeah, it's not really doing what I expect. The all buttons in mode is very distinct to me. And this plugin kind of sounds like it's halfway there all the time. Let's set these back. We'll keep the high pass filter on. So that's doing a lot more compression within that sense. Doing less compression but distorting a bit more. So I'm guessing that is what the slam's meant to do. I think I prefer it like this. Let's blend it in, which is something I like to do. So here it is without the plugin, and we've got a little bit wet. Let's go here. I'm just gonna go faster release maybe. Bypassed. Back on. bit more punchy. You're bringing out that reverb. It's just got a little bit more, I don't know, something to it. So let's have a listen to this, because this is more of a practical thing. Let's listen to this in the mix. So, now the mix isn't quite there yet, but you should be able to hear. I might just turn the drums up a touch so they're a bit louder and everything. But anyway, let's listen to the mix of the chorus. The vocals are sketchy. They haven't even been finished recording. But anyway, so we're going to start with bypass and then on, and then I'm going to change the mix control and you kind of hear where we're at. So it's off. Turn it on. Maybe a bit less. This is bypassed again, and parallel mix. Obviously it's a little bit louder, but yeah, punchy. I mean, the kicks won't be too loud, let's be honest. Just adjust those volumes and have a listen again. Bypass. Really crushing it. But when you blend it in with the dry, it just gives you this cool feeling. So I'll just solo it again to here. Bypass. So that's a really cool thing to use with the blend control. I actually really love doing that kind of parallel 1176 thing. So let's go to the more kind of conventional uses that people use this kind of plugin for. So kick, snare, vocals, and bass. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is quickly go through and I'm going to turn off basically some of the compression I have on the individual channels. So I used Slate for nearly all the channels here. So I have a kind of distressor style on the kick in. The kick out has this 401, which is kind of like an SSL style, VCA style compressor, kick sub. So I don't always do that where I've got them on individuals. I kind of did because I wanted a little bit of flavor for different things, but often I'll do what we're going to do here, which is sum them all together and use basically one compressor for the kick, or maybe a couple of compressors chained, but like compress everything together. It really depends on the sound I'm going after. So yeah, I'm turning off all the compressors on each of those channels. What do we have on the snare? Snare top, again, I use this a lot, VCA style compressor. Now the FET style compressor, which is the 1176, does sound not as clean, a little more, I guess, aggressive and less tight maybe than the kind of VCA style. So that should be all of them. So let's just listen to our drums again. I am going to solo, I am going to bypass this, but see the kick and the snare a little looser. Now that is a sound as well, but I prefer controlling them a little bit. So let's grab first the kick. And let's put Fetish on. I'm finding it a bit pumpy, a bit distorted. Not that that's a bad thing. It just seems a bit over the top for a FET style compressor, but I'm sure there's certain units out there that sound like this. I haven't got to use that much hardware, mainly just different plugins. So what can we do? Maybe try a 12-to-1. Let's take it really far so we can get attack and release. Losing a little bit of low end there. It's a bit better. A bit too loud, isn't it? I like 4-to-1 better, I reckon. Let's use the high pass filter to try and get a little less less triggered by that low end. This is often why I will use different compressors, because like the sub kick, for example, I don't use, well, I set the compressor differently so you don't have as much attack, but that sub stays in there. But the cool thing about this with the mix control, if you're starting to lose a little bit of attack or you're starting to lose a little bit of low end, you can always blend it back in. That's controlling the dynamics a bit better now without crushing it too much. Yeah, I don't like the distortion going on there. Let's give it a little bit more and then dial it back. Okay, so bypassed. Try the other ratios again. I actually think I like 12 now that I've set these a little differently. Maybe we can go a little bit faster. You can hear how the some of those softer hits are very dynamically different in the dry signal. So we are effectively compressing what we want to do. There's two types of kind of dynamics, I guess. You got micro and macro. The micro dynamics are being controlled, which is your kind of envelope of the sound, but the macro dynamics are also being controlled. So you've got more evenness between each of those kicks, which is what you want a compressor for usually. So I find it quite effective here. Let's listen to it with the rest of the drums. Okay, let's bypass it. Yeah, much punchier and kind of stronger once you put the other drums in, because you've got more of that evenness of volume, a little bit more sustain as well, so you can really kind of hear it better. Bypassed again. So on kick, it takes a little bit of tweaking, more than usual for me for an 1176. Like I said, that fast release, that distortion it's got going on, it doesn't act as my other plugins do. It's a bit too kind of distorted. in the same realm. So this is kind of getting me 95% of the way there as other plugins that cost money, and this is free. So I'm not really complaining. I'm just pointing out probably what I'm not liking about it. But once you add in these other features and the sidechain and stuff, you can kind of get around any of the things I don't like by just tweaking a little bit. And that's what's really cool about these extra tweakable features. So let's move on to the snare. Here, we're going to do Fetish again. I'll leave that kick one up. It's just cool. And try and do the same thing. We'll start in solo, and then we'll do it with the rest of the drums. Oh no. So what I've done here with the snare, let me just check. Yeah, I'm feeding the reverb after the compressor. Now, previously it would be all fed from the actual snare channels individually. So you're probably getting a little bit more aggressive reverb than normal. We may mute it as well so you can hear the dry track, but let's just dive in. Where are we? About -7. Do wish this display was a little bit bigger. Part of that is the way I'm using Cubase as well. Okay, so that's a good starting point, I reckon. So yeah, the other thing is that input control seems to be quite aggressive. But anyway, I think what we do, we'll try the ratios again. But let's go with a bit of a fast release. Keep the attack there. I'm liking what it's doing. We might blend it again like we did with the other one. The consistency is a bit weird. You could hear we're using two different snare samples here, and they're not really working as well when they're not compressed. Put them on together. Well, put them on the... Once we put some compression on them, they sound more together. Okay, so that was a lot easier. Straight out the bat, I like that. Let's listen to different ratios, but I'm pretty happy there. You can hear 8's a little bit different. Just a little bit different. 12's tighter, it's slamming it more. Again, that release characteristic is a little bit different on 12. And 20 is just even more. So I like 4. But just the tail of 4 is what I like, I think. Now we could do a bit of a high pass filter. Maybe blend it in a little bit. I don't think we need to though. So let's go back. We're going to let's put the kick and snare on together, and we'll bypass and we'll unbypass, and then we'll do the same with all the drums, and then we'll do everything we've done in the drum section, in the mix, and have a listen what Fetish is doing in the mix. So this is bypass snare. Fetish. Now it is bringing those cymbals out a little bit, but I think that's still pretty good. I think we could do this if we wanted to. We'll leave it there, I think. Okay, bypassed again. Definitely a huge improvement on the snare, I reckon. Definitely needs that compression. Now it's a lot easier to set up than the kick. I think just without the low end, it just kind of works a lot better. You don't get that weird distortion because that kind of distortion is very common on low end. Go listen to all the drums together. So let's put Fetish back on the drum bus. And what I want to do is turn them all on and off again. So, where are we? So Fetish is now on the kick, the snare, and parallel on the drum bus. Let's bypass it all. And we'll bring it back in. Now you are, like I said, getting a little bit of volume differences, but definitely sounds a load better to my ears. So, let's just pull out the whole mix and do exactly what I just did then. And then we're going to move on to bass. Okay, bypassed. So far, Fetish is great. I did have those small complaints, but that's definitely improved that sound. So let's move on to bass. Now, I've got a bunch of things going on with bass. Let's turn off. So I've got an FG2A and I've got a 1116. So that is the 1176. So we're going to turn both off. I like using dual compressors on bass and same with vocals. We're going to see what we can do with just Fetish. This is the bass. Now that distortion is actually really cool when I want it. Yeah, this is definitely a threshold control. Because it gets quieter as you turn it up, which doesn't happen on normal 1176, but anyway. Oh, that's really crushed. Listen to the noise. That's cool though. Anyway. Ooh, I'm getting distortion there. I don't know if it's... Yeah, it's probably from this. I'm going to turn the... Oh, there we go. I'll turn the L2 off because any volume differences, the L2 is going to get triggered. I'm just doing that to clip off the peaks. So my eyes are a bit watery if you notice me going blinking. Every time I blink, I can't see for some reason. It is pretty late here. Yeah, so you can really hear that distortion. So let's bring the release back. Catch some of the peaks a bit more. Oh, that ratio sounds a bit different there. I think I'm gonna like 4:1. Now you can hear when you're going fast attack and fast release that you do get a bit of pumping, and this is why I like the dual compressor approach. What we probably would do if we're using free plugins is to emulate the same chain. You could also use the if you wanted to copy the chain I had, you could use Fetish with the analog obsession. I always going to trip over that. LA or La, which I've got a review as well, that hopefully I'll be able to do soon as well, which is the LA2A. So then you can chain them the way we're going to do on I do on vocals as well. But today we're just going to see how far we can push Fetish. Sorry, I can't speak very well today. So I think 4-1 is good. A bit more output. Let's listen to it with the drums, because bass and drums for me together is very important. So some of those notes get really lost once you put the drums in without compression. Yeah, that's much better. I like it. Now what I might try is setting up the second fetish a lot slower. Let's try this. We'll just bypass it again so you can hear again. Now let's get the drums off. Because I think it's really good. I just like compressed bass. So what we're going to do with this second one is slow attack, slow release. Barely touch it. High pass filter. And parallel. Maybe a bit faster attack here and a little less compression. Okay, so let's bypass them both. Okay, it's a little bit loud, isn't it? With the drums. Okay, bypass them. Turn the bass up a little bit. Okay, in the whole mix. I don't know what to say. Put the drums back down. Bypass the bass, fetish on the bass. I just bring the mix back a little bit here. Well, that made it a lot more punchy, I like that. And this input's coming down. Might be a little bit louder too. Turn over sample on for both of them. Just because it's distorting a little bit. It is a little bit loud there, but yeah, it works. It's doing what I needed to do. It's making the bass sit a little bit better. Come up in the mix a little bit better without actually dominating the mix with like the big low notes in it. Okay, so I could try it on guitars. There is a lot of stuff going on guitars, but it's not my preference. Maybe we'll do vocals first and then one lot of just electric guitar just to kind of hear it. So let's go find the lead vocal. So at the moment, like I said, the vocals aren't finished. So we're busing the lead vocals to this lead vocal channel, and then that's doing all of the work. So what have we got? We have at the moment got, that's all we got going on. Cool. That's fairly simple. Often I'm using both an 1176 and a 2A. I don't think I've put the 1176 on yet. Yeah, like I said, the vocals are still in work. So we are just going to turn the 2A off and use Fetish. So maybe we'll put it after the de-esser. I still have a bunch of other stuff going on, but I think the Neutron's doing a little bit of multiband possibly. Yeah, just a little bit of multiband. Using this plugin here, Fresh Air from Slate. It is free at the moment. It is really cool. It is basically A-type treble enhancer. But anyway, let's solo the lead vocals. And like I said, they're not really finished recording. They're kind of demo vocals, but they're, you know, I still sing the same. So let's, here we go. Fetish has got to come after the EQ. Cool.
I don't know what to say.
So
But
I'm going to pull off some of the effects.
So cold here right next to you.
Just so we can really hear what's going on.
I don't know.
I'm really
what to
dynamic.
Say, but I can't
Not in a good
hold
way.
my
I'm just not a very good
tongue 'cause
singer.
It's so cold here right next to you.
Okay, let's go. Try slow release.
I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold here right next to you.
High pass filter. We're losing it.
I
We're losing high
don't
end.
know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold here right next to you.
We're really controlling those really heavy, breathy, kind of loud bits I do.
I don't know what to say,
A bit fast release.
but I can't hold my tongue 'cause
So if you want to go
it's
really
so
aggressive, you do this
cold
fast release.
here right next to you.
It's kind of a bit yelly. This is why I like to use in tandem with the 2A,
I don't know what to say,
because you can do this.
but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold here right next to you.
Let's try that. Let's try different ratios.
I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my
4:1.
tongue 'cause
Let's try
it's
4:1.
so cold here right next to you.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to listen to it
I don't know.
from the beginning like this. We'll put the effects on, then in the mix, and I'll basically each time we go around. So maybe I'll do half the verse, half the chorus instead. So you're getting the same bits that I'm singing with it bypassed and unbypassed. So we'll start bypassed and then bypassed, on, effects, bypassed, on, mix, bypassed, on. And let's put oversampling on again. Bypassed.
I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold here right next to you.
Unbypassed.
I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold here right next to you.
Effects back on, bypassed.
I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold here right next to you.
Unbypassed.
I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold here right next to you.
Now, I'm probably overdoing it a little bit, but you can kind of hear it's a lot more controlled, but you are getting a lot more breaths and a lot more kind of the weird kind of things happening to the sibilants. I've got a very sibilant voice, as you can hear. There's a gap in my teeth, so when I do S words, air goes through that gap, which is very annoying and a pain in the ass to fix. So I think maybe what we'll do, I did say we'll keep that loop and go, but I think it is sometimes hard to tell because your brain refreshes the difference. So we're going to go the full mix, and I'm going to go bypass on and off. I may just bring the lead vocal up a little bit so you can really hear it. Yeah, I'll just flip through kind of as we go through the loop a few times to kind of hear how it all sits. Bypass first.
I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold here right next to you.
Bypassed.
I don't know what to say,
Bypassed.
but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold here right next to you.
So what we'll do now, I think, is loop this end section. Bypassed.
I don't know what
Listen
to say,
to the part here.
but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold here right next to you.
So I kind of go, so cold. So we're going to run it again, bypass and then unbypassed, and you can hear how Fetish is really controlling that and making it sit better.
I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold here right next to you. I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold here right next to you.
Now, I did kind of probably over compress there. That's why I like using two compressors, but it does sound good. I do like it so far. So like I said, I will just lastly try it on guitars. Just maybe on a guitar bus. These are two different guitars playing together. At the moment, I have got an 1176 and a 2A. So it's the 1116 vintage and the FG 2A I've got on both of them. So what we'll do is we'll solo one side. It's just left and right. And then we'll copy it across. I like really compressed clean guitars. That's just what I like. So chorus L. Straight away, already kind of what I want it for. Just more sustain, more bloom, just janglier. I think that's quick enough. We can just do that. So I'm going to drag over to the other one. Oh, they're off already. I think it's a little bit loud. Okay. Bypassed. Okay, so now bypassed, it's louder. It's always hard balancing it quite right. Fetish is on both of them. You can really hear that kind of bloominess. Bypassed again. Let's put it back on. Okay, now what I want to do, now I'm not going to be able to do this super real time. What we'll do is one run, it bypassed, then I'm going to turn them all on and do that. So what we've done, if you can't remember, it has been a bit of a long video, is we've done bass, we've done kick, snare, parallel drum bus, lead vocal, and now these chorusy guitars. So let's just bypass them all. We'll run the entire chorus. I'm just going to find the vocal. I'll try and edit it so that there's no time in between the two, or maybe even just cut between the two in editing. That might work the best for everyone. Okay, so let's start with Bypassed. This is with Fetish, Bypassed.
I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold. You're right next to you.
Run it twice.
I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold. You're right next to you.
Okay, now Fetish is on all the instruments.
I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold. You're right next to you. I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold. You're right next to you. I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold. You're right next to you. I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold. You're right next to you.
Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. That has been Fetish. It's been quite a long video. The thing with these kind of plugins like 1176 style, one, you want to look at all the features, and two, you want to see it on different sources. And for me, the 1176 style compressor is one that I like to use probably on the most different sources. I don't have a specific kind of source that it needs to be on, as long as that's kind of an aggressive fast source. Unlike, say, well, even the LA2A, I don't put that on drums, but I do put it on bass, acoustic, those kind of things. So I did want to test all of those out. Like I said, I like it. The distortion is a little bit weird, but it's free. So if you don't have an 1176 plugin, or you just want to try a different one, or you want these cool sidechain features just for experimenting, getting something different from the plugins you already have, go download it. As with all analog obsession plugins, there is a Patreon. You can sign up for that if you want, but you don't have to. You can just go find the link and download the plugin. You might have to scroll down a bit to find Fetish within the Patreon. So thanks again. Thanks for watching another Free Plugin Friday. Like I said, there is the LA I want to do. There is also the Slate FG2A, which I've talked about. I had on this mix a lot. So I'm going to do a review on that, probably with this song once we've finished it a bit more. That's going to be really in-depth, looking at the features and that and all that too. And I'll see you next time.